Hey, what's up ladies and gentlemen, it is I am the one and only Maxi here from the likes of the Maxi Toys videos. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for some more of Let's Play in Knuckles in Sonic the Hedgehog 2 due to the forms of Sonic and Knuckles lock-on technology with Sonic the Hedgehog 2 for the Sega Mega Drive / Sega Genesis, for those of you who lived in America. So last time we have basically just went through 4 zones in one particular video, and also during that time I've managed to actually gather all 7 Chaos Emeralds in one particular zone, which is of course Emerald Hill Zone. And yeah, that's sure it's a piece of cake in my book. And also we just went through, well obviously we went through Emerald Hill Zone, as I said earlier, as well as Chemical Plant Zone, Aquatic Ruin Zone, and as well as the forms of Casino Night Zone. And today, for this episode, is the fact that we must be able to do not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, but 5 zones, because much like the forms of normal Sonic the Hedgehog 2 Let's Play, I will also going to include the Hidden Palace Zone that was only accessible in the forms of the 2013 re-release, or in this case a remastered port, or well, should I say a remastered version of Sonic the Hedgehog 2 on the smartphones. So, I have no idea what just happened right there. I just got stuck in between a red spring as well as that spike or a few set of spikes, managed to actually just to like pop out of, you know, a bit of consequences or anything like that. So, but either way though, let's get this thing to it. So even then though, obviously today's day is of course the 16th of December today, in this case in 2020, and as far as you guys should know, that we've already got about 9 more days left until Christmas time, so it should be pretty positive for the most part, except the fact that, well, most people seem to have found the, well, a bit of a struggle when it comes to Christmas this year, because as far as you guys should know about the fact that how miserable this year went. But I'll get into more details about this later, because let's talk about the positives out of the way first. That was the forms of, yes, I will mention about the forms of the Game Awards, which, truth be told, it did happen during the forms of 6 days ago now. And recently, they announced quite a number of things. First of all, although I'm probably not going to comment it on the majority of the forms of PlayStation / Xbox Game Awards or something like that, but I'll point things out whenever we get around to the forms of the Game Awards of whoever won the Game of the Year award in terms of this year. Although I'll mention more about it later, because the first thing I actually did manage to caught in my eye is the fact that, well, as to be expected, we have ourselves our brand new fighter for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. And someone said in the comments already, ever since in Mario Party 2 Bowser Land playthrough so far, is that Sephiroth from Final Fantasy VII has been confirmed as a playable character as in the DLC. So gee, no wonder why about the fact that I did recently manage to kick his butt during the course of Kingdom Hearts 2 Final Mix on my own time on my PlayStation 4 version, and I seem to manage to kick his butt on my first attempt on Standard Mode. Even though I was originally able to do it on Critical Mode, but it's entirely difficult, I have to be honest here. So, but either way though, yeah, it's pretty awesome to see Sephiroth in action in this Super Smash Bros. Game, which I think it's pretty obvious because you know how Cloud from Final Fantasy VII also makes its debut in Super Smash Bros. Well, ever since in the 3DS and the Wii U versions, but obviously they bring him back again until Super Smash Bros. Ultimate came around. But then fans really wanted Sephiroth to be on Smash Ultimate, which turns out it's true. Apparently though, is the fact that they keep on spawning a lot of memes during the forms of, well, let's just say Sephiroth or Sora will manage to get into Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, because I seriously swear to God, it appears everywhere in terms of the memes and all that stuff though, which seems pretty obvious because both Sephiroth and Sora both spelled with a S at the beginning, so, but either way though, something's worth noting for. And yeah, unfortunately though, as you can tell, I do apologize if my capture card gets a bit glitched out every now and then. I will try to fix that until whenever we get on to, well, let's just say the final part of this entire playthrough of Knuckles in Sonic the Hedgehog 2. at some point during this Friday, because let me tell you, it's the fact that, relatively speaking, when it comes to Knuckles' well, I would say when it comes to doing the final Let's Play of the whole entire year, well, we're not gonna mention more details about this because, well, it might be seems pretty obvious. I don't want to spoil anything for the sake of time, but either way, though, that's all I can honestly try to say about this for the most part. So even then, though, when it comes to Sephiroth as the actual fighter, in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, it's gonna be releasing in June at some point this month, which I was like, oh wow. The actual quick timing does manage to able to come flying by. Even though we don't know exactly when though, but thankfully until tomorrow, I'm really looking forward to see what his moveset looks like. Thanks to the forms of Sakurai is gonna able to interview about Sephiroth as a fighter and during at some point in tomorrow. So I'm very, very looking forward to that. Especially notable, I can't wait to see what his stage looks like. Even then though, because as to be expected with most any other Challenger DLC packs or something like that, they're obviously going to bring not only one fighter, but also one stage, as well as, depending on how many music they are able to include. Although one is the most iconic one, which is of course, One-Winged Angel, which is to be expected with most Sephiroth themes, which becomes popular in terms of the forms of the entire series by that point. So yeah, very, very excited to see how that's going to turn out, and I definitely can't wait to go back onto Super Smash Bros. Ultimate on my own time, and hopefully I can able to practice his movesets and what have you, so that should be pretty exciting. And another thing that I did announced during the forms of the Game Awards 2020. Oh, by the way, if you somehow manage to go down here as Knuckles, well, you can able to actually climb back up, because obviously he has the ability to climb on walls, so yeah, something worth noting for. So even then though, because thankfully you don't have to worry about a bit of spikes down below, because that way you can use Knuckles' climbing ability for doing so. But I digress. And another thing they actually did announce in terms of the Game Awards this year, and that was the forms of a brand new Ghosts 'n Goblins game, which appears to be by the forms of Ghosts 'n Goblins Resurrection. So it has been a very, very long time since we actually haven't heard about anything new in terms of Ghosts 'n Goblins series. Well, at least I remember the actual game, even though I've heard of it, but I've never actually played it yet. I do have it on the NES and the Super Nintendo, being the Super Ghouls 'n Ghosts, but I saw those games in between. That was the fact that thanks to the forms of some Call Me Johnny's review of Ghosts 'n Goblins and Super Ghouls 'n Ghosts, and I can definitely see why that the first game was actually one of the hardest games of the bunch. Which I will say, it's gonna be pretty tough for me to able to do this kind of stuff, especially when we get to the point until next year's Halloween. Oh boy, wish me luck on that part. So anyways, now we hit on to Hidden Power Zone, and as you can see, unlike the ones of how it does it on my normal Sonic the Hedgehog 2 playthrough, as what definitely has already tackled for that game ever since in 2017. As you can see, I've now managed to able to capture this directly to my screen capture on my mobile phone. So I do appreciate about that specific stuff though, and plus it makes the entire, well, quality itself look a lot more better than the forms of how it does it from before. But even then though, that should be pretty swell. So even then though, although what's kind of odd is the fact that ever since, as you can tell, that we're going to be playing the iOS version, so as you can see, our shield is in blue as opposed to grey. Which, I can totally get that, especially noticeable because I just have no idea why they're able to include that, but I digress. Another thing I totally forgot to mention ever since in Journey Forms of it back in part 1, in terms of this particular playthrough of Knuckles in Sonic the Hedgehog 2, recently is the fact that Nintendo has just announced there's gonna be, well, I would classify for saying the final direct kind of presentation for this entire year, which originally it was expecting to able to believe that the normal general Nintendo Direct will be on the horizon, but unfortunately for me though, I'm not a big fan of the forms of ND World. Although, I get it because of the forms of approaching to 2021, but to me though, it just feels kind of stale and old to me though. Although, it is interesting, don't get me wrong, Although, especially noticeable that I'm not exactly sure if we might able to get the actual new release date for Cuphead and the last course, or is it? I have no idea. It has been a couple of days since I actually mentioned about the forms of Cuphead DLC and stuff like that. Ever since when Duffy Duck has already mentioned about this, ever since in well, let's just say in Team Sonic Racing playthrough. So, but either way though, that's all I can honestly try to say. So here's the forms of the Hidden Palace Zone boss. Now, normally back in the forms of our original Let's Play, or specifically in Sonic the Hedgehog 2 Let's Play, you notice about the fact that I, for whatever reason, don't have my Super Knuckles equipped. That's only because originally I was gonna able to actually breezily win for this stage, but for whatever reason I just don't feel like it. So this is what you do it normally, is the fact that you have to guide the actual dynamite bomb, and that way you can able to actually activate the actual water Kaiser, and that way you can able to actually just let Dr. Robotnik with that particular trombone, and then basically you can able to actually just attack him in the process. So definitely a little bit tricky if you do it normally, but honestly it's actually not too bad, honestly. So, but even then though, the only time it's incredibly annoying is that you have to predict of what the actual mine will start to drop. So yeah, that can be kind of annoying sometimes, but even then, no, it doesn't bother me at all for whatever reason. So, but I digress. So even then though, yeah, as a result, it's the fact that, well, I've definitely seen it, but unfortunately though, I don't have that much discussions that I'd like to discuss upon, because, well, again, I'm just not a big fan of the forms of ND World, I have to be honest with you. In fact, it is okay, but again, it's not my cup of tea or anything, so, but even then, no, that's just what I find. So, but either way though, and also another thing they actually did manage to finally brings us to the table, thanks to the forms of, you know how the fact that with the Persona series has been super hyped about, that was the fact that yes, Persona 5 S, in this case Strikers as what's known in the English version for whatever reason, now finally gets itself this localized release date, which is going to be releasing next February, which is roughly the same month, or the same year and month, as when Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury will be releasing by that time. So, but even then though, for Persona series, or Persona fans out there, we'll be definitely looking forward to able to trying out, you know, Persona 5S for reals, in the English version of all things. So, that should be pretty exciting, all things considered. So, but either way though, now let's go ahead and move on to Oil Ocean Zone, as you can see. So, but even then though, and as you can tell, we're now going back onto my Nintendo Switch console, so, because if you can tell from the quality standpoints, so, looks like we're not doing too shabby for the most part, especially because, well, after all, we didn't take a single death or anything, which is kind of surprising, actually. Even though, eventually, whenever we get onto the next zone after this, oh man, there's gonna be a lot of emphasis on lives drainage, which, we'll point things out whenever we get into that at some point, later on throughout this episode. So, either way, though, yeah, let's talk about the forms of the Game of the Year, who actually win the forms of the Game of the Year award for 2020. This might sound controversial for most people out there, and that is The Last of Us Part 2. And for my reactions to that, it's unacceptable. Because despite the fact that most people seem to really not a big fan of the forms of Last of Us Part 2 to begin with, because they obviously kind of prefer, although critics for whatever reason to seem to love it, but for fans, they just found it a little bit disappointing in comparison to, well, the first game. Especially noticeable how the fact that usually in the first game, does manage to able to actually get itself the Game of the Year. I think it was in 2013 or something, although I may be wrong, but let me know in the comments. So, but even then though, that's, usually I've heard of it, but I've never actually played the whole entire... Wow, I have heard of it though, but I've never actually get a chance to play it. Although, I was gonna able to try to get the PlayStation 4 version of Last of Us Remastered, but unfortunately though, it's the fact that my storage is almost gonna full up. So, I might give it a go on the PlayStation 3 version, but usually relatively speaking, is that it doesn't matter what versions you're going to be playing through, because, you know, regardless of the forms of those reviews, in both PS3 and PS4 versions of Last of Us 1, basically they get themselves a really great score, especially fans do manage to enjoy it as well. So I can possibly understand why that it might be seems a bit controversial for the Game of the Year 2020 as a result, because most people seem to be really voting for Animal Crossing New Horizons, because that game came out in 20th of March, just around the same day as when the actual coronavirus pandemic has been able to get involved during the course of the UK version, as far as you guys should know. And also similarly for Final Fantasy VII Remake, because usually it does have a lot more expensive content in that game, as well as, you know, enhanced graphics and everything, and most people seem to really love Final Fantasy VII Remake, which I will say, it does look very impressive, because I just have no idea why those two games never get itself the Game of the Year awards, which I was like, are you for real, judges, for able to choose Last of Us Part 2? Because I can totally see why most fans seem to be able to get paranoid by this. Or maybe it's just me. But anyway, another thing they actually did announce in terms of the Game Awards this year is the fact that once again, we're having ourselves our next compilation game, but this time around though, only exclusive to Nintendo Switch, and it's going to be digital download, which appears to be Capcom. So, it seems interesting, to say the least, but honestly, I would able to actually just try to get, I don't know what the actual software of library of games they might able to include, but we'll see what happens, and during at some point, I think it's also going to be releasing until February next year as well. However though, it's going to be a free download, so but even then though, because chances are, I believe it's going to be likely have like in-game purchases or something, just like, you know, most games every now and then, like Mario Kart Tour for its microtransactions here and there. Speaking of Mario Kart Tour, actually, it's the fact that recently we actually got ourselves our brand new tour for Mario Kart Tour, despite the fact that I still managed to quit that game due to the forms of too many emphasis on microtransactions heavy game, and that's what appears to be by the forms of a Rosalina tour. And I believe it'll able to bring one of those familiar courses back, which appears to be by the forms of Rosalina's Ice World from the Mario Kart 7 game, which I'm presuming if I remember correctly, but then again though, I haven't really looked back on Mario Kart Tour as much, just because, well, again, as I said earlier, it's just that I've basically no longer have that game, because it's all about, you know, fill to the brim with microtransactions here and there, but that's just me. Speaking of which though, is the fact that let's get on to the forms of another thing I'd like to discuss. That was the fact that recently, in terms of new Disney as well as Pixar stuff exponentially, they're able to actually bring in something new to the table in terms of Disney Plus services, as well as some other films coming up soon for 2021 all the way up to 2022. But there was one particular film I was really curious to see how I was going to be able to check that out. That's what appears to be by the forms of, according to those little interviews out there, they mention about the fact that they're going to be releasing Lightyear, which represents Buzz Lightyear. And I believe that particular film is about to be releasing and during excuse me, I'm very sorry about this point, folks, because I almost have myself my belchiness at the moment, so I must admit that I do apologize for that. But anyway, for that particular film I talked about, I think it's going to be releasing until at some point during summer 2022, which is roughly the same year as when, God knows if the Sonic the Hedgehog, well, Sonic the Hedgehog 2 movie is going to happen on that year, and I'm really hoping that the Super Mario Bros. Movie, the animated version by Illumination Studios or Illumination Pictures, were able to actually just make it to 2022, because that would be probably one of the greatest years for 2022. We're not exactly sure about 2021 though, but either way though, we'll have to stay positive about this, even though that at least we actually got ourselves some more stuff coming up soon for the likes of, you know, just any other films in particular. Like, let's just say, well, they somehow announced a whole bunch of those Disney live-action movies. Well, I do know one thing they actually did announce, which is Pinocchio, which it appears to be based off of my childhood memory film. You know, with the ones in 1940 and stuff like that. I'm really hoping that this doesn't go completely, like, screwed over, unlike, well, let's just say The Lion King is probably the most disappointing live-action movies, because, well, it just ruins my nostalgia. Especially noticeable how the fact that most people seem to obviously complain about, you know, how stilted it looks, even for the actual, the film itself like that, so... But yeah, that's as far as I can usually think about it. And also, they did manage to bring, well, an announcement for the Ice Age, spin-off series, which appears to be by the forms of, well, let's just say Buck's, Adventure or something like that. And again, it has been a while since I actually did manage to watch Ice Age stuff, because, well, I don't mind them, it's just that, well, for the fourth one I found it was a bit, not that good. But then the fifth one, on the other hand, though, I'm just finding it a bit... ugh, God. But at least, the first one is always the classic one of the bunch. And, the second one is okay. I mean, it's not that perfect by any means. But as far as Dawn of the Dinosaurs, as far as I'm concerned, I found it alright. But, apart from that, though, it's just that, well, everyone's getting sick of the Forms of Ice Age series, which I really don't know if they're going to be able to bring Ice Age 6 or something, because if they do, well, I'm pretty sure that most of the actual film industries will getting sick and tired of that specific stuff, which I just have no idea why, but I digress. Still, we have not seen anything in terms of, well, I was really hoping that we can see the Nico and Petro, you know, spin-off, series based off from Rio, which, I was really looking forward to that, though, especially, it has been, well, I would say it's been 6 years since when, Rio film series has been, like, well, become a traditional kind of stuff, ever since in Rio 2, back in 2014, despite most people found it to be a little bit lackluster. But I still find that film to be okay enough, but usually the story feels a bit, well, kind of almost like empty and simple, but that's just what I think. Especially noticeable that I have not seen Blue and Jewel for a very, very long time, even for after 6 years now, which reminds me, although it would able to actually take some time to develop for certain of those Disney Plus exclusive stuff, but I totally understand that, but it's just that I will have to say is that the Rio film series is actually one of my favorite film series now, from the likes of the Blue Sky Studios kind of movies, although I will give, well, the Peanuts movie some credit for it as well, because visually speaking, it looks breathtaking in the Peanuts movie, which it seems pretty cool though. And I think that's as far as I can say about this for the most part, and yeah, I have no words to say, so but even then though, because, well, looks like that for the majority of this month is actually pretty solid. Well, aside from that, you know, pretty obvious, quote-unquote, you know, COVID or anything like that, which, in fact, some people seem to, or someone in the comments did manage to point things out. There was that one particular commercial from the likes of, I'm not exactly sure if this was in American, I'm pretty sure it's American, and, one of those commercials, oh my god, some slicers. Anyway, yeah, with the forms of that commercial called, Shuttle Fly, basically it's all about the forms of, customizable photographs or anything like that. Oh my god, I almost got crushed there. Anyway, for what I've noticed is the fact that I have seen a commercial, and it's pretty bad. Oh, how the hell did I just somehow manage to avoid that? Oh wow, what a coincidence that is. And by the way, for Metropolis Zone, as you can see, what's great about, you know, Knuckles the Echidna, specifically in Act 3, in Metropolis Zone, you can just simply well, skip over for those little gear section, because if you somehow got screwed over from almost towards at the end for that particular screwy part, and basically you can able to actually just take your alternative by using Knuckles' wall climbing skills, which I will say, that is definitely a lot more easier than the forms of how it does it in, well, the ones in Sonic 2. Although, usually in the original Sonic 2, to be more specifically, because, well, unfortunately, if you're ever trying to play as Tails, in, specifically in this particular run-through, basically you can't you can't fly, basically, unlike Sonic 3. So, yeah, that's one point. Son of a... God damn it, I hate these shell crackers so much. Ah... Well, there's the first death of the entire Knuckles in Sonic the Hedgehog 2. It was actually a pretty good run, actually. I'm not gonna lie, in terms of likely trying our best to able to do no death runs or anything like that, even though this was on the 8th zone, or technically 9, if you want to count the, you know, the 2013 remastered version of Sonic the Hedgehog 2, so, but even then, I was so close. In fact, I did manage to beat the likes out of that shell cracker earlier ago, but for whatever reason, the hitbox just somehow made me killed. And I was like, that's not fair. Anyway, about what the forms of that commercial I just mentioned, which is, of course, Shuttle Fly, the 2020 version of that commercial. I think that was in America most likely, and he did point things out. There was one annoying moment when the, well, let's just say when it comes to the baby shot, when it has like, when a female voice comes in, she says, 2020 is the best year ever! And I was like, hell no, it isn't. Like, literally, this is the worst year we've ever have to sit through. Especially noticeable about the fact the matter is, though, it does have its promises back in the beginning, but everything else is a huge mess. Like, literally a huge mess. Which I'll discuss more about that whenever we get on to the final Let's Play in 2020, before we get on with, let's just say, hopefully a much better year than the forms of this is, which is, of course, 2021. I was really hoping for that. But I digress. Anyways, let's go ahead and just kick the likes out of, well, Robotnik, or Dr. Eggman, to be more precise. And hopefully we should, although it makes this boss fight a little bit difficult with Knuckles, because aside from the fact that, well, as you can see, that my rings just starts to drain a bit, and as a result, oh, I still have my shield, so that's alright, but if I somehow manage to get hit twice, I'm pretty sure I'm gonna be dead. Yep, I died. Oh well, no big deal. But thankfully, again, if you somehow die during a boss fight, or even exit out the special stage, your rings will be kept on that particular checkpoint you activated. So, yeah, that should be likely the easiest thing you're ever gonna come across into. But anyway, I just want to get this zone out of the way before we get on to likely the last few stages and beyond. So, but either way though, I guess that's all I can say. In fact, let me know in the comments below about the fact that, what you think about the forms of, some news and thoughts that you recently discussed upon, and, what's your, thoughts about the game rewards, which I'm sure most people already know about this at this point. And it's actually, I will say though, is that the Game Awards 2020 is miles better than the forms of how it does it on last year though, because last year was like so lackluster in comparison. But 2020 on the other hand though, it's alright. So anyways, we got the ending itself at this point right here. So join me next time on Let's Play Knuckles in Sonic the Hedgehog 2, is that we are moving on to Sky Chase Zone and eventually towards the end of the game. So I'll see you guys on Friday.